Armenia, the land of Noah. For millennia, Armenians created an ancient civilization of builders, healers, scientists, and storytellers at the crossroads of world cultures. They survived conquests and empires, contributed to trade, art, literature, and science, becoming a truly global people. In 1915, under the cover of the Great War, 1.5 million Armenians perished from their ancient homeland, along with their culture and way of life. This was a genocide perpetrated by the Ottoman Empire against its own citizens. Across the four corners of the globe, men, women, and children fled, seeking shelter and a life of peace. They were determined and resilient. The fortunate ones were saved by unsung heroes who risked their lives. Among the saved children was Aurora Martiganyan, an orphaned 17-year-old survivor of the atrocities. She became the star of Ravished Armenia, the first major motion picture produced in Hollywood about the genocide. Based on her autobiography, Aurora was cast in the starring role, reenacting the trauma of her young life and telling the story of her people. The film premiered to sold-out audiences in Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and more than 100 cities across the United States, the United Kingdom, France, and Australia. Aurora's autobiography sold several hundreds of thousands of copies. She became an international phenomenon during the silent film era, a symbol of survival, goodwill, and the devastation of the genocide. She was the icon of philanthropic aid for the survivors. In 1919, the monumental success of Ravished Armenia raised international awareness and $30 million for 60,000 orphans in the Near East. To this day, Aurora remains a testament to the living memory of the genocide and the gratitude of the Armenian people to their saviors. True to her name, Aurora became the symbol of light and hope for an entire generation. Those who survived and resisted the genocide, like Aurora, were scattered around the world and persevered. They rebuilt their lives and communities with dignity, ever grateful to the Samaritans who rescued their families. Men and women like Jacob Kunzler, Bodil Bjorn, Maria Jacobson, Fridtjof Nansen, and so many others put their lives at risk to heal and protect the refugees and survivors. The world today faces man-made disasters not unlike those of a century ago. Every day, heroes worldwide answer the call of human duty. These rare and brave men and women are among us. They are our neighbors. They are the strangers on the streets we pass. They work in the far corners of the world, saving lives with open hearts. On behalf of the survivors of the Armenian genocide, and in gratitude to their saviors, the Aurora Prize for Awakening Humanity honors the power of the human spirit that compels action in the face of adversity. Anyone, anywhere in the world is eligible for the prize. We salute those who dedicate their lives to enabling others to live and make a difference.
Good evening, dear friends. I'm David Ignatius, and I'm very pleased to greet you all here in Venice on San Lazzaro Island, where we had such a moving ceremony last year in 2021. This feels like a family reunion.
Hello everyone, I'm Dalia Atalla and I will be your host tonight together with David. I am so happy to be back and to spend the evening with you all.
We are honored to have the presence of Raphael Petros XXI, Catholicos Patriarch of Cilicia of Armenian Catholics, representatives of the Armenian Apostolic and Catholic Churches and Municipality of Venice, Armenia's ambassadors to the Vatican and Italy, and our hosts, the Mekhitarist Fathers. Thank you, Your Beatitude, Your Eminence, Excellencies, and Reverend Fathers, for being with us tonight. In today's disordered world, it's a special gift that Aurora has brought us all to the everlasting glory of Italy, where every stone, every building reflects thousands of years of history. Here on San Lazzaro Island, we gather again to celebrate the very best of humanity.
Since 1717, this island has been home to the Order of Mekhitarist, founded by Abbot Mekhitar of Sebaste. This beautiful location and its rich history represent the union between spiritual, educational, and humanitarian values.
What drives the Aurora Humanitarian Initiative, as you've seen in Eric Nazarian's beautiful film, is the cycle of giving. That as we have been given life, so we celebrate those who give to others. Aurora calls this gratitude in action, a reminder that people around the world who have received aid in time of crisis can best express their gratitude by helping someone else. Tonight, we celebrate this universal concept together.
Since its inception, Aurora has brought together countless supporters and empowered the world's unsung humanitarian heroes, enabling them to extend their work to more people while raising awareness of their courageous efforts. To those who made it possible, we thank you all from the very bottom of our hearts.
Over the years, Aurora has made a significant impact on the lives of those in greatest needs. Behind every spent dollar, there's a real story of someone who received support in the darkest hour of their life. Thanks to Aurora, and thanks to you, my friends.
Aurora's flagship program, the annual $1 million Aurora Prize for Awakening Humanity, is one of the most remarkable humanitarian prizes in the world. We hope it will continue to grow as more people join the global movement and contribute to help Aurora lift up those working to help the world's most vulnerable.
And now we would like to ask our friend Ruben Vardanyan, Aurora co-founder and co-founder of NECDO, to please come on stage. It is a joy for me to see Ruben and Veronica here tonight.
Thank you, David. Thank you, Dalia. I'm so glad that all these years David was with us, always being master of the ceremony, doing a great job. And Dalia always make a fantastic company for him. I want to welcome everyone and say how happy I see all of you. And I want to say many times thank you. Thank you for everything that you're doing together with us. It's really amazing what we are together, despite all the challenges, doing very important things. And I want to say thank you for hosting us in fantastic island. Also, is I think amazing symbolic things which we are doing second time here in Venice, in San Lazzaro Island. And thank you for his hospitality from Mekhitarist Congregation, because it's a really great we've been here and we saw the history of Armenian heritage, culture, spiritual, managerial, everything. And I think it's one of the best examples about the leadership. You know, tonight we saw amazing performance by musician, by choir from Venice. The kids, by the way, were not Armenian. They've been singing Armenian and Armenian songs, and they are from Venice. So it was very touchy, but they sing with Isabel Bergdan, which is a great singer from Canada, which I was very happy to see her here with us again. And thank you, Archbishop Hajak. You reminded me the story about how it all started. In 2014, I went a trip around the world. And you know, we have a fantastic Armenian diaspora everywhere. And I went and asked about how we can make something different about the genocide. But of course, it all will stay in our memory, in our heart, with all our families. But what will be the right approach to say thank you? And I will be very honest. After traveling around the world, I found shocking surprise for me. But I couldn't find many moral leaders. I went to many countries. Who are the moral authorities in your country? Who are people who really you admire, not because of they are head of the countries, but because of they are respected by society? And I found shocking with this, not only in our part of the world, Russia and Armenia, we didn't have people who really people admire, but in every place it was the same problem. I said, something wrong. We need to have people who are moral authorities. And now, after 7 years, I can tell you, people who are sitting here, the finalists and laureates, you know, I'm so happy what I found and met all of you. And because for me, you're the moral leaders. You're the authorities for all of us, for the next generation, for people who really admire and respect not just the numbers of your bank account, not about your titles, but being just human. And I believe Aurora gave us this ground feel, but despite all the challenges, despite all the old crises that they're facing around the world, we have people who are doing a great job, and they're really example for all of us. So I got a lot of energy from all of you. I got a lot of support for anything that I was feeling bad, and I want to say personal thank you for doing this for me, because after the Artsakh war, when we lost not so much about land, but we lost thousands of young, talented people. We lost our confidence about ourselves. I think seeing your story, seeing what you're doing in all these places in the world, it gives me a lot of power. And I believe the leadership will become one of the key elements of taking this world out of this crisis. And I believe you are the example of leaders that we need to follow. And I want to say thank you, all of you. And thank you for doing this together with our friends and partners who support this project from first day. And again, I hope we will continue this despite all the problems, and we'll do many, many more years. Something which, of course, I would prefer we will not have, because of if we will have no crisis, will be no laureates, no finalists. But I hope we'll have a continuous network of the people. We got already 700 people who we know the stories. We have 700 stories of people who saved the lives of others, who are doing something fantastic. I think it's one of the biggest assets that we are holding. And I hope these people will become a network of people who trust each other, who support each other, and we'll do our best to make this all workable for the world, for the societies. And from our side, we'll do our best to continue this project. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruben, as always, speaking from your heart. The Aurora Initiative was founded on behalf of the survivors of the Armenian genocide, people like my own ancestors, and in gratitude to their saviors. Its mission is rooted in Armenian history as it strives to transform this experience into an international movement, and its impact has been felt globally, helping people in the corners of the world that are often overlooked and tackling issues from which others shy away.
By addressing urgent humanitarian challenges, Aurora provides a second chance to those who need it the most. True to its motto, we believe that even in the darkest times, a brighter future is in the hands of those who are committed to giving others help and hope. The initiative welcomes all who embrace this philosophy. As the vision of Vartan Grigoryan, Nubar Afeyan, and Ruben Vardanyan, Aurora has been joined by thousands of supporters and partners who help us spread the message of gratitude in action to a global audience.
Last year, our dear mentor and friend Vartan passed away, but his profound legacy will live on. Vartan once said, Aurora's aim is to reconnect, to declare human solidarity. In the future, there will be an association of Auroras of this world, each awakening decency and basic humanity. Amen to that, Vartan.
These powerful words stay with us, as do the ones Vartan said at the 2017 Aurora Prize for Awakening Humanity in Yerevan, Armenia. Let's watch that memorable moment all together again.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Բարերգոս իրարի հրանիքներ։ Ես ճար էի գրած, բայց ճարս բևոչ գրպանստրի, որպես կուզեմ խոսել սրտից։ I wrote a speech and read it, but it was not me. So I decided to put the speech in my pocket and speak from my heart. The other day, American University of Beirut, I quoted Brecht's Life of Galileo, in which there is a famous line, "Cursed be the land that needs heroes." Because we become so depraved that few are exceptional, but those few lift us up, but still do not allow us to cope with our depravity. Nietzsche said, if God is dead, everything is possible. If shame is gone, everything possible. If decency is gone, everything possible. So you saw that. I'm very emotional because I grew up in Tabriz, where you did not hit a woman, where you did not kill a child, where you did not hit an elderly, you did not hit a cripple. Life was sacred. All Abrahamic faiths taught dignity of religion, dignity of man. And now we have made an exception and murdered on the altar of ultranationalism, sacrificing ethnic groups, sacrificing women, sacrificing ethnic groups, nations, because people would like to have perfect system for their own. That's what worries me. That's why I'm very proud of Nubar and Ruben for their vision of sparking a fire, however small fire, which already has become spread like a fire all over the world. People are talking about this small spot on the map called Armenia, called Yerevan, out of which has started this feeling that murder has no borders, race has no colors. We are all human beings, supposedly to be handiwork of God and creatures of God. So, thank you, Ruben. I mean it. Thank you, Nubar. Your vision has begun, and we have now made this a movement, not an Armenian movement, but an international movement. And I hope all of you have helped us. I hope all of you will spread the rumor that this is a failure, so we can prove how successful it is.
What a great man. How much we all miss him. And now, world-renowned soprano Isabel Bayrakdarian, who you heard so powerfully a little while ago, will use her tremendous vocal talent to honor the memory of Vartan Grigoryan. Isabel is a special friend for me. When she released her last CD of Armenian children's songs, she asked me to write the liner notes. What an honor. Please welcome my dear friend, Isabel Bayrakdarian.
I'm deeply honored to be here tonight. I remember Vartan saying that every child has a right to have a happy childhood, and it is our responsibility as adults to make that happen. And of course, protecting children has always been one of Aurora's main goals. It's no coincidence that at nearly every Aurora Prize Ceremony, a lullaby is sung to remind us of this. Tonight, I will perform for you a simple yet tender lullaby. It is from the region of Ani in historical Armenia. This is, of course, to honor Vartan's memory and to celebrate his legacy. The song itself is called Aurora, and it translates to rocking song.
Isabel, for that captivating music. As you said, Aurora is such an important part of Vartan's legacy. Tonight, we have his family here with us, and I'd like to invite his son, Rafi Gregorian, up on stage to say a few words. Rafi.
Thank you, David, and thank you, Dahlia. I work for the United Nations now, and I think given all the horsepower here, diplomatic and ecclesiastical, I might just say all diplomatic protocols observed, because otherwise we might be here a while. First of all, I want to especially thank Nubar and Ruben for inviting Amy and me to join you here for the Aurora Prize weekend, and to the Mekhitarist Congregation here on San Lazzaro Island for allowing the award ceremony to take place here. Being here is special for me because my father did research here in 1966 while my mother, older brother Vahe, and I stayed with family in Tehran. I don't want to take too much of your time as we are really here to celebrate these amazing humanitarians, and the new laureate. So let me just share one simple thought with you. Those of you who heard me give the family eulogy for my father this past April will recall I talked about the intergenerational transmission of trauma, or what the psychotherapist and author Galit Atlas calls emotional inheritance. It is more than just emotion, though, as trauma can leave a lasting impression that is epigenetically imprinted with its attributes detectable through as many as 10 or more generations. I mentioned how my conversations with my father in the months before he died equipped me with the insight and support I needed to make sure that the intergenerational transmission of trauma stops with me. So tonight, as we are gathered here in this sacred place, let me ask you this. What does intergenerational transmission of humanity look like? Well, I'd just say, look around you. It looks like all of you, not just the Aurora humanitarians and laureates who risk their lives to save others, to lift up the downtrodden, the voiceless, and the defenseless, and give them hope, but also to those who make this prize possible. In his welcoming speeches at Brown University, when my father served there as president, he would tell freshmen, quote, "You are a unique moment in the history of creation. You have to decide what you want to do with your uniqueness. You can be a dot, a letter, a word, a sentence. You can be a paragraph, a page, a chapter, or a book. But what if you decide to be nothing, a blank? If you decide to be the latter, you will be forfeiting the value of your talents, all the knowledge of the universe, and all the creativity of preceding generations," unquote. So to me, looking at all of you tonight, you are all the books in the library of Vartan Gregorian. Thank you.
Thank you so much, dear Rafi. Your father was truly an outstanding man, and we are moved to continue to make the world a better place in his honor. And now we would like to ask Aurora co-founder Dr. Noor Afghani, co-founder and chairman of Moderna, and founder and CEO of Flagship Pioneering, and Ana Afghani, co-founder and co-chair of the Afghani Family Foundation, to join us on stage. Please welcome Noor and Ana Afghani.
I've had many an occasion to speak about Vartan, and Rafi, thank you for your very moving words. But as I said last year, every time I would come up, he would tell me to keep it light. And then when he did that, I would retell a story that occurred between the two of us that, sorry for those of you who've heard me say it before, but for those who are new, I want to share, because that's the only way I can keep it light about him. And every time I told the story, he kept telling me never to say the story again because he was a little embarrassed, and you'll see how it goes. Some 12 years ago, I had the occasion to be with him in New York City when the then president of Armenia came in a relatively kind of hard moment in our history. This was the last time Armenia and Turkey were trying to negotiate a truce. But that's the context. I was at this Park Plaza Hotel in New York, and up he comes up the stairs, and I was standing next to my then 21-year-old daughter. She's 6'1". She was an athlete at Yale University, and she was at the prime of her athletic life, and she's standing next to me. And I had invited her because she was a political science student. Anyway, he walks up the stairs. I see him, I greet him warmly, and I say, "Vartan, so nice to see you." He doesn't acknowledge me. He looks at me, looks at my daughter, looks at me. He was a little bit shorter in stature. And he goes, "Noor, is that your daughter?" And I said, yes, I was so proud of her there. He goes, "Now that's evolution." and he said that without missing a beat. You know, I've been offended in many ways, but his was the sweetest. And that was the special gift that he carried. He complimented you and you felt good. And even when he wanted to stick a little needle, he also made you feel good. So that's the Vartan we knew. That's the Vartan we want to celebrate through all of our activities. You know, just very brief comments. Obviously his presence here, his thoughts, just before this I had to give an interview and they said, "How does it feel not to have Vartan here?" And I really said, and I think we share this view, that his physical presence is deeply missed. But his emotional, intellectual, spiritual presence is with us, because just like his son, Rafi, he also left in us a continuous memory of his thoughts, which we can channel every time we talk. We say, what would he say? What would he do? And that's the mark of a lasting legacy. And I think he gifted us with that as well. When we started this project, it was in 2015, and we were essentially marking the 8-year period within which the course of our nation changed in 1915 and 1923. And when we started, we thought, the three of us, Vartan, Ruben, and I, that we would do this for 8 years, because we thought that's a long period to commemorate the centennial. But as time has gone on, one of the things we realize is that what the initiative is being able to do, and importantly, what Vartan left with us, is something that we need to make enduring. As you heard earlier, he really liked using the quote from Bertolt Brecht's Galileo, "Cursed be the land that needs heroes," but he would always continue and say, given human nature, I'm afraid we're always going to need these heroes, and the only way to counteract it is with knowledge and philanthropy. That was a very big part of his life. He thought philanthropy is the force for good that can counteract the evil people do to each other. And so in the most humble of ways, he taught us a lot, and we feel compelled to carry that learning forward, whether it's in academics or civil engagement or diplomacy, humanitarianism, philanthropy. There's very little. Maybe he even did music and sports. There's very little he didn't touch, and we want to capture all that. Vartan's family, as well as his colleagues and friends at the Carnegie Corporation, have been very supportive when we discuss with them our heartfelt desire to establish a special fund to sustain and expand humanitarian activities across the globe that meant so much to Vartan, as you heard him speak earlier very emotionally. As a result, we have established the Vartan Gregorian Humanitarian Fund to ensure that Aurora will be a self-sustaining entity for years to come. This has already been met enthusiastically by a number of supporters, including most recently by Darren Walker and the Ford Foundation, for which we're very grateful. When talking about gratitude in action, you've heard that many a time tonight, and its potential, Vartan liked to remind us that generosity has no expiration date. I don't think there's a better way to put Aurora's vision into words. We're hopeful that those who share it will support the Vartan Gregorian Humanitarian Fund and help us make his legacy live on and be a guiding light for the world. Thank you very much.
So after all that, I have very little to add. I think you saw Vartan's speech and understood why we feel so deeply connected to Vartan. He saw every person. He took the time to understand what they would be interested in, what kind of advice that they would benefit from. And then it was that sense of, his sense of humor was unbelievable. He always saw something, even in the most difficult situation, he saw something that could be positive and could make you feel better about the day, to go about your day. So I can just say that from our foundation, I feel honored to work on this project and to make sure we have enough people in this movement to make this a kind of long-lasting project, because there is no bigger honor for me and happiness than to meet all of the humanitarians who are in the room, all the laureates, to hear about their work. Because every day we need something that makes us sort of find hope, because the world news are not giving us that hope. And so thank you for all the work you do. I am honored to continue the work to make sure that Aurora continues. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anna and Nubar. Vartan Gregorian was an inspiration, and we believe our biggest obligation to him is to continue to make Aurora one of the most impactful humanitarian initiatives in the world.
As not only Aurora co-founder, but also a member of the Aurora Prize Selection Committee, Vartan strongly believed that every hero deserved recognition and empowerment. Please welcome Aurora Prize Selection Committee member Mary Robinson, former President of Ireland and former UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, who will say a few words.
Dear friends, I'm so honored to be here in Venice and on this beautiful San Lazzaro Island with you again to talk about Aurora's work, which is a major part of Vartan's legacy. And that legacy will now be preserved thanks to the Vartan Gregorian Humanitarian Fund. I must say, I'm really impressed by how Aurora has grown. I've been involved in the selection committee from the beginning, and I didn't anticipate, I must confess, I really didn't anticipate that it would grow to the extent that it has, and that it's now bringing together groups globally and different kinds of groups in a very inclusive way. And also, again, putting a lot of focus on young people. I love the intergenerational, and I think we can go further on that. I think there's room for this because it's a moment in time when people have to say, what can I do? How can I change things? This is my responsibility, and I feel more empowered because of Aurora to do this. As a former High Commissioner for Human Rights, I know that the human rights issue is a struggle. It's always a struggle, particularly for those who are working in the front lines. We go through periods, and this is one of them, when it's not very clear how we're going to see the way forward on so many issues, when we are running out of time. We've been in dark moments before. We've been in times where it has seemed hard to see a clear future. But I know that we have to be prisoners of hope. That I learned from my dear friend Archbishop Tutu, who also passed away a short time ago. We have to believe in the future and continue the struggle and believe in our society, believe in young people, believe in idealism. That is what Aurora's heroes teach us to do. Change happens with a few people deciding and being committed. That's what Vartan believed, and that's what we must all do now. We must all do our best for and with Aurora and make the world a better place. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. As you said, over the last several years, Aurora has taken on a leading role in the humanitarian field, empowering a generation of modern-day heroes. Aurora's global recognition and humanitarian network has grown significantly, benefiting over 2.7 million people to date, with the goal of reaching tens of millions of people in the future. And this year, $300,000 of the Aurora Prize award funds will be directed to combat one of the most acute and overlooked humanitarian crises in Yemen, where human suffering requires urgent intervention. You'll hear about it in more details later tonight.
Aurora's mission is to recognize and support those who put themselves at risk to save the lives, health, or freedom of others suffering as a result of violent conflict and atrocities.
Every year, the Aurora Prize Selection Committee, comprised of outstanding individuals, decides who will be named the Aurora Prize laureate. This is a hard task, and we appreciate the work of these global humanitarians led by Lord Aradarzi, the committee's chair. We're also grateful, of course, to the accounting firm EY, the independent observer of the Aurora Prize that has been helping us by monitoring the selection process all the way from the nominations period to the laureate's announcement since 2015. Thank you for your help again this year.
So many people contribute to Aurora's cause by sharing their time and expertise. As Aurora's global movement grows, we hope that even more supporters will help us make a positive change.
And now we'd like to invite on the stage our extraordinary chair, Lord Aradarzi, chair of the Aurora Prize Selection Committee and co-director of the Institute of Global Health Innovation at Imperial College London. Ara.
Thank you very much, Dalia and David. Let me begin by extending my heartfelt congratulations and thanks to the Aurora co-founders. I was recruited by Noor and Ruben nearly 6 years ago, and within a year, I got approached by our beloved Vartan, who asked me to move to his position of a chair. And you can probably appreciate how intimidated I was at the time. How am I going to fill these big, big shoes? And I still, up to today, at the selection committee meeting, at the end, I met Noor and I said, I wonder what Vartan would have done. And, you know, he was the guiding light to me and to many of us in this room, and his leadership really what drove us all in terms of the humanitarian vision he had and the contributions we should be making. So I'd like to also thank all the supporters who enable Aurora to grow and broaden its impact each year. And many of you in this room have supported Aurora. We much appreciate it, and we're dependent on your support. Since its launch, the Aurora Prize for Awakening Humanity has transformed the lives of those facing the devastating circumstances of war, conflict, displacement, and persecution. With a focus on people in the greatest need, the prize is uniquely dedicated to support the world's unsung humanitarian heroes, enabling and drawing attention to their courageous work. Each year, we receive progressively more nominations for the prize. This is a testament to the resilience and strength of the many extraordinary people around the world whose spirit of humanity compels them to help others while facing unimaginable danger. Tonight, we recognize 3 of these modern-day heroes. The 2022 Aurora Humanitarians are Jamila Afghani from Afghanistan, a peace activist and founder of the Noor Educational and Capacity Development Organization, who has dedicated over 25 years of her life to giving the women of Afghanistan access to education. After the Taliban took over her country, Jamila Afghani was forced to flee her homeland, but she has remained fiercely committed to its people. Hadi Juman, who's with us tonight from Yemen, a peace activist, mediator, and a body collector, who regularly risks his life to facilitate the exchange of prisoners of war and recover human remains from the front lines. As his country continues to experience prolonged political and humanitarian crises caused by civil war, Hadi Juman helps reunite families affected by this terrible conflict. Mahina El-Mazari from Egypt, a lawyer and a political activist who promotes political freedoms and human rights in her country. In Egypt, voicing disagreement with the official policy can be very dangerous. And Mahina El-Mazari has been detained and jailed several times as a result of her activism. Nevertheless, she remains optimistic about the future and committed to being an agent of positive change. Despite the risks and challenges, these Aurora humanitarians put the lives and safety of others above all else. Their stories are a source of hope and inspiration in trying times, and it is an honor for us to recognize them this evening. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of the evening.
Thank you, Laura Darzi. Tonight, we also remember Arsha Louise Mardiganian, a fearless survivor of the Armenian genocide who managed to share her story of survival with the world to help those affected by this tragedy. The co-founders of the initiative have chosen the name Aurora, or Arsha Louise in Armenian, which means dawn, in honor of her and her memory.
And that is why one of our traditions is to invite a local girl with the same name to the ceremony to announce the laureate and offer he or she a grapevine from Armenia, symbolizing new beginnings. In a few moments, we will know which of the 3 outstanding humanitarians will receive the 2022 Aurora Prize. To do that, we ask Aurora Gezzo from Venice to please join us on stage. Last year, our little Aurora also took part in the ceremony and helped us reveal the name of the laureate. Dear Aurora, please come on up here for the announcement.
Hello, Aurora. Please tell us the name of the 2022 Aurora Prize laureate.
Jamila Afghani.
So we're thrilled to have Jamila on screen with us. She was unable, as you all know from the difficulty of travel these days with humanitarian issues, to obtain travel documents for a displaced person. Up to the last moment, we were trying to get Jamila here, but in the end, it proved impossible. Our world is going through some turbulent times, but we're so lucky to have her here by screen.
Although she is not with us right here in person, the grapevine will be planted in a garden on the island of San Lazzaro in her honor as a symbol of revival and connection. When Jamila is able to travel again, the Aurora leadership will meet with her to congratulate her in person and give her the Aurora Prize statuette.
So, Jamila, if you can hear us and speak by the Zoom camera, please do. Congratulations.
Ladies and gentlemen, to be honest, I'm really emotional. And I'm really honored to be one of the Aurora laureate for 2022. When my country, my people are passing through the darkest days of history. Today, my people, my children are not allowed to go to school because they are young girls. My sisters are not able to go to job and money because they are women. This is the biggest punishment a human being can have in our own country from her own people. Sometimes we believe that there is no humanity in this world anymore. But Aurora proved that humanity is still alive. And humanitarian actors do recognize the pain and suffering of people of Afghanistan. And you stand beside us, and you extend your hand of help and support to the people of Afghanistan who are in the need of it. I thank you, my Aurora family, my Aurora friends and colleagues, all the great people, all the kind people. They are the symbol of really appraising humanity. It gives us the hope that this world can be changed in a peaceful world soon. With our struggle, with joining hands with each other, with leaning on the shoulder of each other. More than me, this recognition means for my people, for people of Afghanistan, for the girls and women of Afghanistan, that humanity is alive. Humanity is alive. And this is our hope to continue our struggle. I'm really thankful. I'm really humbled. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, and thank you, Jamila, for being a source of inspiration and strength for us all. We thank you. Thank you so much, Jamila, for your outstanding work. Now you will have an opportunity to continue the circle of giving thanks to the $1 million prize. So congratulations once again. And as we already mentioned, $300,000 of the award funds will be directed to help the people of Yemen.
The initiative asked Aurora Humanitarians and laureates for their recommendation in selecting the specific crisis to direct this support, and the majority agreed that it should be allocated toward the dire situation in Yemen. As a result, we will dedicate this portion of the Aurora Prize funds to Yemen through a donation to the UN Refugee Agency in reflection of Aurora's mission to raise awareness of modern-day atrocities and the work of heroes who aim to help those impacted by them. As 2022 Aurora Prize laureate, Jamila Afghani will also have a chance to support the designated organizations of her choice. She has selected Women International League for Peace and Freedom and Noor Education and Capacity Development Organization, which seek to promote world peace and provide humanitarian assistance to women, youth, and children in Afghanistan.
According to tradition, the name of the laureate will be added to the Chronicles of Aurora, a unique manuscript created with historical techniques and kept in the Matena Daran, the National Repository of Ancient Manuscripts in Yerevan, Armenia. And now let us welcome back on stage Aurora co-founders Nubar Afeyan and Ruben Vardanyan, the minds behind this great endeavor.
First, let me congratulate Jamila for this recognition. We're humbled by her years of service. Some of you may know that she was a finalist 5 years ago, and so we've had a chance to meet her in the past. She's joined us at two of these events, and it's a really incredible privilege. It's too bad that she couldn't join us, despite heroic efforts by many people, including some in the room, to get her to be able to travel so we could have all three finalists here. But we're very, very thankful for her life of work and what she'll be able to do going forward. You heard already, so I'll keep this part short, that there is the way the prize works is that there's $1 million, of which a portion goes to the laureate, about $100,000. In addition to that, we have the custom, the tradition to also award individually $25,000 awards to the two other finalists, so they will be able to use that to support their work. I just want to make sure everybody understands that. And then we also just noted that there will be a special a portion of this attributed to a current, large, and overlooked crisis, which in this year is taking place in Yemen. And so we're very grateful to our colleagues at UNHCR for the work they do, and we will be joined by a representative tomorrow for our dialogue session. You'll hear more about that, but we look forward to having impact in as many places as we can: Afghanistan, as well as Yemen. Thank you very much.
Thank you everyone again, and just to also maybe a little bit explanation, the choice of Yemen was done not by selection committee or by founders, it was done by finalists and laureates who between themselves choose the country which really need to be helped. This is why also I think it's great example of how network of the finalists work together to choose the place that's most maybe invisible or not very well recognized. This is why I think it was very important. As Nubar said, it's important to raise awareness of our local crisis. And on one of these crises, what's happening now is happening right now in Armenia, in Nagorno-Karabakh and Artsakh. And I think Aurora was proven, because there was a lot of debate about doing or not doing Aurora in the current situation. We said it's proven what the Armenians have not and will not give up. I think it's very important, was message for the world. And this is I think it's ceremony for me. It's very emotional because I came from Artsakh directly to here. And I think it was sending the message with, we are about the peace, but we are strong. Peace doesn't mean be weak. Peace means you need to be strong. And strong, but you are continue doing what you believe is right to do. And I think not now more than ever, we need to build this hope and try to stop the war and other horrible things that happen in our world. And I think it's a very important time for all of us to understand we have no other choices. We need to go this journey together with people who really share with us the same values. And I want to say I was privileged to meet a lot of people during my move to Artsakh. And I want to finish my short speech in this ceremony with one sentence I heard from one of the refugees who left twice already, place when he was homeland from Baku to Artsakh, and Artsakh partially was occupied. He left again, and he said to me, and I will say in Armenian, I will translate in English. He said, yes, հպարտեմ իմ կյանքս տամ Արցախի համար, բայց ավելի պատիվ է իմ համար այս հողի վրա ապրելը. He said, I'm ready to give my life for the Artsakh, Nagorno-Karabakh, but more honor for me to live in this land. I think it's let's be honored to live in our land, in our world, and keep the peace. Thank you.
So, thank you. I just want to ask this audience to give another special round of applause to the two extraordinary people who were the co-founders of Aurora, to Nubar and Ruben. So the Aurora Prize ceremonies have always brought together so many outstanding people. I've had the honor of sharing this stage with George Clooney and Charles Aznavour at the inaugural ceremony in Yerevan. It was a very emotional moment for me, and I'm so happy to be standing here tonight with Dalia, reliving those memories, and I hope creating new ones with you. And speaking of memories, ever since that first ceremony, it has become a tradition for Aurora to include a very special song in the end of the program.
It was written by the great late Charles Aznavour to raise funds and support the Armenians affected by the 1988 Spitak earthquake. The whole world has come together to help Armenia in a beautiful reflection of the universal values promoted by the global Aurora movement today. We will have a chance to hear this song together now. Please welcome our wonderful performers, the prima donna herself, Isabel Bayrakdaryan, internationally acclaimed Gurdjieff Ensemble, and last but not least, the Piccoli Cantori Veneziani Children Choir.
Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful. Thank you. And now we would like to ask to come back on stage Aurora co-founders Noor Afghani and Ruben Vardanian and members of their families, Rafi Gregorian and his family, our Aurora humanitarians and laureates, and members of the selection committee.
Aurora's movement and its impact have gone truly global thanks to co-founders, selection committee, laureates, and humanitarians, thanks to our supporters and to all the people who make this possible.
We have a message for you from Dr. Tom Katina, 2017 Aurora Prize laureate and Aurora's chair, whose vital work in the Nuba Mountains in Sudan has kept him from coming to Venice. Let me read his message while we wait for everybody to join us here. I want you to hear Tom's gentle voice in these words. Hello, everyone. I'm sorry I couldn't be with you tonight to thank you all in person, but with David's help, I'm still able to address you. Congratulations to the extraordinary 2022 Aurora Humanitarians, and congratulations to our new laureate. I think you're doing a fantastic job, and I'm very glad to welcome you to the Aurora family. I'd also like to use this chance to express my gratitude to the founders and to all Aurora's supporters and donors. Without your vision, without your contribution, my fellow laureates and humanitarians would not have been able to save so many people. This is Aurora's main idea, gratitude in action, and all of you are taking it to heart and showing your thanks by helping those in need. However small or big your gift is, please know that it can make all the difference in the world for someone. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you. We're making many wonderful memories tonight. Thank you so much. There are people all over the world watching this ceremony, and of course, many of them call Armenia their homeland. As we express our gratitude to the lovely country of Italy for welcoming us here, we're also paying tribute to the capital city of Armenia, the breathtaking, mysterious, beautiful Yerevan, or Erebuni, as it was known in ancient times.
This wonderful city is, of course, the birthplace of the Aurora Humanitarian Initiative. This song celebrates it, and we have Haig Vosgarichian at the organ.
Thank you for such a moving performance. Sadly, now our ceremony is coming to an end. But before we go, we would like to give once again a special thanks to the Mekhitarist Congregation of San Lazzaro for welcoming us on this beautiful island. Thank you so much.
One of the masterpieces safeguarded in this treasury of Armenian culture is a painting by the great Armenian artist Ivan Ivazovsky, or Hovannes Ivazyan. It's entitled Chaos, Creation of the World, and dates back to 1841.
We wanted to show you this particular painting as we feel that it reflects the main message of Aurora, that even from the most terrifying, chaotic turmoil, something good may still emerge if we put our mind to it.
Even at the hour of despair, we can still make a difference if we lend a helping hand. Even in the darkest times, there is always a glimmer of hope if we light the candle. Let us remember and cherish that saving truth about life.
And now, let the bells ring. Let the bells of the San Lazzaro Monastery ring as a sign of the humanity that is awakened tonight and always by the Aurora Prize. This concludes the official 2022 Aurora Prize Ceremony. I'm Dalia Atallah.
And I'm David Iglesias. Thank you, everyone.